All right, let's do a sound check, audio check. How's it going there in the interwebs world?
What's up,
Oh
y'all?
yes. How are we sounding? How are we looking?
Y'all look marvelous. Just
Hey
all
PK, how's it
caramel and
going?
beautiful.
Hey Cypher, thank you for the lurk. Appreciate you. Hope you. I saw some of your stream. I was lurking in there while I was in some meetings at my day job, and yeah, Valhalla looks pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I had time to play it. Audio is okay on your end. Okay, all right, sounds good.
Hello, great. Ting tang. I didn't. Yeah, hi.
Walla walla bing bing.
Okay, all right, let's get into this. All right.
Let's go.
Hello, coworkers. Hello, coworkers, and welcome to Back to the Motherlands, presented by Dicey Amazons and Critical Bard, an after show discussing the development and events of Into the Motherlands campaign featuring Tanya DePaz, Christina Ariel, Michael Sinclair II, DJ Knight, and our storyteller, Eugenio Vargas. You can find all of the socials and chat using the command !MLCast. I am one of your hosts, Pi, and this is Critical Bard. If you would like to support our channel, we are sponsored by Dice Envy and Grinding Coffee Co. The links are in chat, and if you use the code Dicey Amazons, you can save 10% on your order.
And today we'll be doing, a big recap and discussion around the most recent episode, which was episode 8. We also will be chatting with someone, that is pretty near and dear to most of our hearts. And if he isn't, he will be very soon. He is the lead developer of Motherlands RPG. He's a visionary, honestly, in the tabletop community. You might recognize him as the Baron of the Valley, Victor Temple, over on LA by Night. You might also see him as the best friend Freely, and Silver and Still over on D&D Beyond.
The shade of it all.
Excuse me. Put some respect on my boy's name. Put some respect on it.
Yeah. He's also the GM of Dungeons and Dragons: A Darkened Wish, a comic he actually also he wrote, which is currently on its 3rd season. You can check that out on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific over on twitch.tv/D&D. It is B. Dave Walters.
Yay!
Yes,
yeah, thank you.
It.
No, that was quite an intro, CB. I appreciate that. You had to get the full Randy Orton out of me there. When you were like a visionary. Thank you. I appreciate that, man.
Like I got this. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. Bertrand levels of titles coming forth.
How y'all doing tonight?
We're great.
You know what? I'm here.
Black.
Hey.
Only easy day was yesterday. Yep.
Hey, yep, and thriving.
It was barely an easy day.
It is wild that we're already through episode 8. That is true. It's funny because when we were talking at the beginning, I know you all have discussed this at length, I'm sure, that the adventure is written by that bronze girl, Jasmine Bular. And there was a lot of debate at the beginning of the season of how much will we get through it too quickly? Will there be all this extra usable space at the end? And every time it came up, I was like, y'all, it is going to take so much longer than you think. It's going to take so much longer than you think. And here we are, episode 8. Yeah. So, but it's been good, and I think it's been good. It's very important to all of us. Hang on. Let me clarify something. Yes, I'm lead developer of the game. Yes, I had some say in the stream, but I have simply been, an advisor commentator. That has largely been Eugenio and everybody you see on the screen. But we did talk about some of these things. And one of the things we knew that was important up front was we were introducing not just a new stream, not just a new game, not just a new cast, but literally all of it. In every single little piece had to be given plenty of time to breathe, quite frankly, to make people give a damn. You can't just start throwing terminology at people and have that matter. We knew it had to be hooked in the characters and who they are, and then hooked in the world and what that is, and then hooked into what they actually have to do in it. So the slow burn has been quite intentional, and Eugenio has been absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that he described Hawthorne, while they were coming down to it, it was beautiful. And I want to go there, and I want to see that world, and I want to see if it gets anywhere close to what I imagined in my head, because he literally made a picture with his words, and I appreciate it. And I can't wait to spoiler alert, talk to him. I don't think maybe I won't be in that interview, but next week.
Hey, next week.
Yeah,
Eugenio,
coming up soon.
see, I'm glad I got here now because like who can follow Eugenio? Like week after next, everybody's gonna be like, all right,
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess.
what's so nice about this, even though you're very humble, and it's like that's all Eugenio and this all stuff, but it's all of y'all coming together to create this very, very well thought out and just poignant RPG that many people can take something from. So, I mean,
Yeah.
you might not be actively doing things every week, but it is still something that you had a big hand and a part of. So, we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But just trying not to swack anybody, and you're right. In that all goes to Tanya, that she knew she had this opportunity to do something for her. And also, I hope she's in chat. I haven't looked. If not, somebody clip this because we're gonna blow up Tanya right now. There's a lot of people in this world that are all talk, y'all. And Tanya to pass puts her money where her mouth is every single time. And she got the opportunity to do this program, and she took it upon herself to try and rally the best team that she could to support creators of color, to support women, to support people. Some had big platforms, some had very small platforms, but to pick the right people to tell the right story and make sure everybody was taken care of. And I respect the hell out of that because I know a lot of people that, can't we all just get along when they're coming up? But then they get there and they start forgetting people's names. That is not Tanya. She is the real deal, and she deserves every good thing in this whole entire world. And I love you. Thank you. To do this program, and she took it upon herself.
That says it.
That's real. No, that's real.
Yeah.
I can
Put it on
second
the
that
shirt.
one all day. Right? Put it on the shirt.
Okay, so before we get into the questions, let's do the recap real quick. We usually do the recap. Just give you a little fix and a little update of like what we saw, recently. So in comparison to the other recaps that I've like written out for making my notes for the show, this one was shorter because like I feel like more happened, but like in less of a space because everything happened kind of like on the area right before they like got into the pod and then on the moon settlement area. So
that's real. No, that's real.
we start out, the
can
crew
sit
heads
on the
out
shirt
to the
all day.
moon, and we
Right?
get
Put
this,
it on the
what I think is a really interesting shift in Captain Silent 919, where all of her like sassiness, kind of shortness, a kind of militantness that comes about her character is shifted into Mama Bear mode. And it fits, it works, in my opinion. So we see Captain Silent 919 grilling the engineer about the safety of the pods as they prepare to go to the moon. It's interesting. We see Eli get a little too comfortable with the goo. What's that about? Can we get Michael back on the show to find out what happened with that? Because ew. Anyway, so we're going over. Let's find out like what stems like that actual decision. So as they're on the ship, they find out that the asteroids coming down to the Earth have water, and that's how they get the water back down to Hathaway. And for the bigger asteroids, they have freaking laser beams that they use to slice them up into bite-sized, asteroids to then be, collected, processed for water.
I'm literally just picturing somebody taking a laser beam going, all right, great. We got the small piece now.
yeah, exactly. That's how I imagine it in my head too. And someone just behind a button, just smashing it and just laser beam, pew, 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 pew. Okay, where was I in my notes? We got the I like goo. Okay, so we find out that the laser slices, yes. So as Captain Silent 919 and Ikemba are out at one of the previous areas where an asteroid should have hit, I think, it was where the asteroid should have hit. They see another like Big Mamma Jamma asteroid coming in, making what was like a little bit of a too close of a call situation. And that ended up in just a U-turn of the asteroid. And the entire audience, myself included, was like, Miss, can you come back here? You haven't finished paying for your meal. So the asteroid takes off, books it in like a weird, funky, not linear trajectory, which, science is going off in my mind at this time, like make it make sense. Which also makes me think like there's sabotage, collusion is happening amongst this quadrant. Yeah. Yeah. And then that's kind of where we leave off. Like, who's stealing these asteroids and stealing all this water? And now it's a murder mystery, and I'm still fucking here for it.
You did. You left out one
Ooh,
very small detail.
correct
That
me.
at the end of that, no, that was all accurate. There's just one additional button. They did spot an odd craft that seemed to be have streamers or tentacles
Oh, yeah,
dragging behind it, flying through space.
yeah.
Which I'm gonna just tell y'all now that is what's out there is my own creation and it's very near and dear to my heart. So looking
Ooh.
forward to looking forward to see how this all shakes out.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So for those of you that
Mm.
know me, um, I'm wary of spoilers. You know,
I'm like, speak without spoiling.
yeah. I'm just gonna say y'all know me and you know what I'm like. That's all of us. I'll leave it like
Okay.
that.
All right. You heard it here.
So Michael put in chat, he's like, I'm worried about this. I was like, no, don't be. Go alone. Don't take any armor or weapons. Go right now. Yeah.
What?
Go, just
No,
fly
don't do
over
that.
there.
That's a terrible idea. Do not.
Open all the airlocks. No, it's fine. I promise you, it's gonna be good.
You'll totally live. You'll
Mhm.
totally live.
Mhm.
Right. So with that though, we do have a list of questions, but I'm gonna kind of go out of the order that's in just because of what we're talking about right now. Because now I kept saying before we started, I'm like, I'm gonna poke the fuck out of your brain. I am an illithid right now. Deal. No ma'am, no turkey, no salami. Never do that again.
Voice.
No ma'am. Nope. Thank you all. This has been Back to the Motherland.
Bye, y'all. Okay, we're out. Yeah, right.
We'll see you next week.
Back with you, Henny, over super happy fun time.
So you said that you've been sitting back and allowing this story to unfold and just watching and not really giving too much feedback. Well, doing what you can, but like you've been letting them really take this ride and make it what they make it. So just so far, like, what are your thoughts on the story and the character development? Like, how's it feeling for you as a developer of the initial story, watching them develop the story in their own way?
I've gotten to have this experience a couple of times with my graphic novel Electropunk and then with Dark and Wish of seeing something I created come to life through somebody else's vision of the artist. And this was the first time that I've had something I created come to life through another storyteller. And it's interesting hearing the things that yes, we have all collaborated on these things, but there's certain aspects of things that, like, an individual wrote, like, Gabe did all of that, or I did all of this, or whatever. So seeing that all manifest and hearing him describe things that I came up with in a way that made them more interesting to me, I thought it has been a really brilliant and illuminating thing. I have really enjoyed seeing the world come to life in the depth that it has, because one thing we've been very wary of from the very beginning was we had certain design principles and certain notes we were trying to hit. And the moment we labeled this a person of color driven project, all of us know that brings a certain weight with it and a certain scrutiny with it, that we're, again, we got to be twice as good to get half as much. And that's just true, y'all. And so we knew our stuff couldn't be messy. And we wanted to hit certain familiar science fiction tropes, but in a way that wouldn't be predictable. And the main thing about this story, the guiding principle, if I had to extract only one, is this is Black excellence completely freed from colonialism. This is, if people of color had been allowed to go their own way organically, what would that even look like? And it says a lot that, quite frankly, we had to put the story in space to even tell that story, because that was the thought even before, this is where it is and what's happening is happening. Just that was the story we wanted to tell. And it's surprisingly difficult to do that in the world that we live in. And so we had to find, some interesting narrative ways to accomplish that. I think the other thing that has been very unusual, and to my knowledge, no one has ever done, is we're developing the game and we're developing the show literally in parallel. So there's times that I've written rules for things because I knew they were about to need them. You know, like I created the ships. I created the ship combat rules because I was like, oh, we're going into space. We need to know here's what should happen out there. But the exact opposite has been true. Things like Silas braids, you know, cybernetics featuring into it as prominently as it is. We've taken things that happen on the stream, and then we had to go and now put the numerical underpinning under that. So the two are kind of going side by side. There have been times it's like, well, what was written? It's this. Oh, well, but now we have this need. Here's the ruling on the field of how it works. And I mean, I'll give you a class example off the top of my head. The talents system. Okay, here's my shameless Cortex plug. I don't know if it's going to show up with my backdrop, but there's my Cortex base book.
Oh yeah, it's coming great.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is a universal system where you can tell lots of different kinds of stories, up to and including superhero stuff and, you know, X-Men type stories. And that's not really this world. You're going to see some supernatural stuff, but I mean, this is going to be fairly rooted in, you know, a reality. Maybe not this reality, but, you know, a reality of gravitation and solid mass, you know. But the way the abilities work is something called talents, where different individuals might have different capabilities. That even though CB and I might be the same, CB can sing very loud, but you know, I might be able to run faster. You know, and those are just like specializations our characters took, right? So the way that we had it set up for character creation and what we've written and what Eugenio has done on the screen was not the same. And so like he said some things and I literally was sitting there and the neck beard in me erupted of like, that's not how it is. And then I'm like, actually, we're changing how it is. And I just went in and like rewrote some character creation stuff based on what happened in the show. And, you know, normally it's not like that. If we're doing a D&D stream, for instance, you know, the ink is dry on that stuff and it is what it is. You can say you house rule something, but if you're going to say you're playing the game, these are the rules. This has been a little more flexible just by the nature of how we're creating it.
I love that. I love that. And just watching you, you've said it before, and sometimes it's a joke, but it's true. You say you talk a lot, but it's not really about talking a lot. You just have a lot of knowledge. And you have the ability to back up whatever you say. I feel like you can give somebody the most random sentence and then have an essay on why you said said sentence. And that's okay because you're backing it all up with facts. So I'm just like, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for answering that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. And I love questions, by the way, y'all. You can ask me anything. I was telling them before. I mean, I myself will talk about anything. The worst thing that might happen is if something's like an NDA or a spoiler, I'll say, well, I can't tell you that because blah. But otherwise, you can ask about anything, y'all that are watching this out there on the internet. Holler at us.
I already asked him about his height, so we already knocked that question out.
It's true. And, you know, here's the part where I explain to you. I'm especially if you're in America, I'm basically the doorway. Like if you look at a door, my head goes right to the top of the frame, my shoulders go right to the side. I'm a door person. That's.
Yeah, I mean, you're always the bull in the China shop, like constantly.
Kinda, sort of, a little bit. Yeah.
Every tall person I know, they're just bumping and stuff, and I'm like, "Look, you big motherfucker, just go someplace."
There is no place. There's no
right.
place.
Where do we go? Please tell us. Where do we go?
Space. That's where you go.
As we said off stream, I'm 6'4", and B-Dave's taller than that. So it's like tall people. Yep. But it's cool. It's cool.
It's true.
I'm a sturdy 5'5", okay? And you know the world is comfortable.
It's how big you are on the inside. You know, it's the size of the fight in the dog, you know? That's all it is.
I want that to be true, but no one's asking Pi to go get the thing at the top of the shelf. They're coming to us.
True.
That's true.
Also, shout out to Kelly Butler, our fellow Amazon there, you know? She's 6'1", so there you go.
Nice. I mean, yeah. I don't even want to be 6 foot. I want to be like 5'7". You know, like 5'7" would be a good height for me.
They said two more.
Two more. I get it.
That's it. That's all. Is it too much? I don't know. Yeah.
Work them wedge heels.
Taller than me. Yeah, barely. Cypher, barely. Yeah, if I wear my Timbs, you know, I might pull up a 5'6". You know what I'm saying? But
can't be busting out the Timbs. Anywho,
it's too hot.
You want to take the next question?
Yeah. So okay. I kind of wasn't ready. I wasn't looking at it yet.
I was like, who's taking it? I got you, but
okay. So you know what? I actually want to ask a question about like, okay, so as B Dave, what would your Hawthornean title be? And I know we kind of went into that with like your introduction and whatnot, but like official, what's your Hawthornean title?
Yo, you know, believe it or not,
you can't just say Master Chief because you're tall as shit, you know?
Yeah, honestly, I think it'd be a lot simpler than you would expect. I think it would be something like Master Content Creator and Storyteller First Class. You know, because it's true, I do all these different things, but to me, it's a wheel that kind of spins around as like a single hub type thing. You know, so that's that. I think that would be it. Honestly, if people had to address me as Master Storyteller, I think that would be. I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, that's yeah. I think they would do. What would yours be?
Oh man,
I got you.
Yeah, you pulled the gotcha bitch real quick.
I got the reverse Uno card.
I was not ready. I was not ready. I think that it would be like Master Chief of, I don't know, network engineering, media something. I'm trying to like pull in my day job and like the streaming stuff too into one title, and it's more difficult than earlier advertised. So yeah, masterclass, first chief engineer, network engineer, production admiral level 2.
You could be an admiral. You could be an admirable admiral. Yeah.
That's too much. I have a stutter, and like that's too much. My mouth cannot keep up.
What about you, CB? Stunt on him. You got to stunt on him.
Yeah.
No, I was like thinking. I was like, wait.
You're like maestro.
Right, but dead ass though. But no, it's about. I was trying to like tie it into like not how about say politics. Like being. What are words? Like someone who is. I keep wanting to say of the people, but that's not where I'm getting at. I am a talker. I am a speaker, if you will. So it's like I'd be like, I don't want look. Come back to me.
Are you? Let's see. Would you be maestro of communications and performance? First class.
Maestro of communication.
Yeah.
Also, communications was the word I was thinking of.
I'm like
speaker, speaking, radio. But yeah, no. But I'd be like a. I don't want to call myself a maestro because that feels like super egotistical, and people will look at me like, "What do you mean, maestro?" I'm like, "I said what I said."
Take your flowers.
Hey,
take your flowers.
You didn't. I did. See,
you're right. You're right. I conducted this.
I tell you what, Chad. You give us our Hathaway names for all three of us. You know,
there we go.
Let us know what y'all think works.
Yeah,
I could be the almighty tallest, like the Urkins. Tallest.
So, a question: as you all think about of our Hawthornean titles, let's take it back to the beginning. You know, back to the beginning. Where do you start when like developing a new story or setting or RPG as a whole? Well, let's also take it back from there. Have you ever done something like this before? And not like this, but have you ever developed a system or like helped being in that process of helping develop the story within the system before? And if so, like, where do you like to start, especially as a lead developer? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? How do you get that process going?
So this is a multi-headed answer, which is hard to begin at the beginning. So
Okay, so
I'm just
you are
lay
the
a few things
Hydra of
out.
RPGs, so it's fine.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, multi. I'll be Black Tiamat. That'll be my new handle.
Black Tiamat!
I need hey, nobody go register that Twitter. I'm gonna get Black Tiamat going. So it's I mean it's the internet probably, but if not,
It
do not
is!
take it CB. Yeah, I'm like it's the internet.
By a white person. Sorry, continue.
Of course it is.
Of course.
Of course. How dare you? She's the dark lady and everything, but I digress. Actually, I'm going to digress further. Tiamat has showed up many times in my D&D campaigns, and she's ended up being a character more like the Master, because I introduced her, because I run a level 20 game, and I introduced her as an opponent for them, and she showed up as the Dark Lady first. And they were just being very nice to her. And then it got to the point that, the inevitable reveal of like, haha, fools, I'm Tiamat, rah. And they all very much were like, we're friends with Tiamat, yes. And then I was like, wait, are you guys serious? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, insight. Tiamat's like, oh, they actually like me. And then she just ended up this Dread Pirate Roberts character where she's like, I'll just kill you tomorrow. It's fine. And just kind of hung around for a while. Because it's like, well, you all are interesting, I guess. Yeah. And that's so I have a different relationship with Tiamat, but I digress. A couple things that I will start more generally and then I'll talk more specifically. Yeah, I mean, I think like everybody, I kind of been picking at my own system for some time now. You just revisit it every once in a while, because the important thing to really think about with a game system is, what is your outcome? Are you trying to simulate reality? Then you get something like what Hunters Entertainment has, that is a relatively low power, relatively high risk, because that's what life is. Are you trying to have something that is very highly narratively driven? Then you get like the storyteller system, what things like Vampire and Werewolf are based on. Are you just trying to have something that is enough framework that lots of different classes and types can peacefully coexist without outshining each other? Then you get something like what 5th edition is, more or less. When we went for creating Into the Motherlands, Tanya and I had a conversation and we were talking about things. She'd already tapped me to be a part of the project. And it was like, well, okay, we have to deliver this much content by this time. And I kind of pulled open the calendar and I was like, well, if this is what we have to deliver here, then we need to have done this here, this here, this here, this here, and backed it all the way up. And it's like, really, we don't have a lot of time to do this. And part of the reason why I'm lead developer on the project is I did have enough experiences working on other projects to be like, well, then these are the benchmarks that we need to hit. And she was like, well, do you want to take on making that happen? And I'm like, yeah, and that's kind of how the process got started. So we didn't, I mean, in a perfect world, just to give you an idea, I'm working on another project right now that is in D8, and they've done 2 years worth of work before contracting the writers. So, usually this is a fairly long-term process. We had to do in a matter of weeks what should have taken, months or years under different circumstances. And one of the very first choices we had to make is, what are we going to use for the system? Are we going to do something open source? Are we going to try and do something D20? Are we going to try and do a D6 system? We pretty quickly ruled out a D20 system because we all do so much D&D. We wanted this show to be not D&D. We all love D&D. Real talk, we all get paid by D&D. We just wanted everybody to know that's not this. So, the first thing to go is no D20 systems. And it wasn't really feasible to try and create something from scratch in the time we had because, playtesting and balance is real and it's a lot of work. And so I had some existing relationships with the people over at Fandom, Adam Bradford, because D&D Beyond and Fandom are the same company. It so happens the last trip I took earlier this year on my birthday was at D&D Beyond headquarters. And one of the things I talked to with Adam was Cortex, what they had planned, everything they hoped to do. And so I knew they had a system that was modular that they were looking to promote. So I was like, hey, kind of give you guys first right of refusal here. We're going to do this show. It should be a pretty big deal. Twitch is going to be behind it. We'd like to use Cortex. And immediately they rolled out the red carpet. Cam Banks, who wrote this book, started working with him right then. Helped me nail down a lot of stuff, or I'd come up with some ideas. He was like, well, maybe this, maybe that, and help smooth it all out. They volunteered all that technical stuff you see on there where they're rolling with the interface and all of that. That's all stuff they did for us. So they were just down for the cause immediately, to tell you the truth. And that was kind of how we came upon Cortex, and it scratched the right itch. And I've worked with a lot of other I say universal systems because generic kind of has a negative implication. And I've really enjoyed the elegance of Cortex. I think it's easy to understand pretty quickly. It is different than the other systems, but it's logical. That's why, for those of you that watch the show live, you'll notice a lot of times I'm floating around in chat. And when they start assembling their dice pools, I'll start explaining in chat, like, well, here's why they're doing this. This is how it's working. I like the idea that as they assemble a bigger dice pool, to make it more likely that they're going to roll two high numbers, which is the goal, because however many dice you're just going to take the top two. But along with that, you're also exponentially increasing your likelihood of rolling ones, which is going to set off some other things. So there's a whole risk management component that is happening on the back end that I think people miss unless it's pointed out to you, of how much are you willing to risk to make sure that this works, which I think is really neat. I just talked a long time there, so let me stop for a second.
We like it. we like it. No, it was good. That's what the question was for. Mm-hmm. Getting your again, Elizabeth, I'm playing with your mind for a second.
Well, to give you more specifics, then, another one of the guiding principles, right along with it being a game without colonialism, was, a lot of us that are on this team have worked with WotC with some of the diversity initiatives and the reframing how race is discussed in these games and things. And again, props to WotC for listening. Props in particular to Greg Tito. Shout out to our homie.
Greg's my guy.
Yeah, man. Greg Tito's a champion. But it was one of the things we knew from the beginning is we didn't want racial stats. We didn't want attributes. We didn't want strength, dexterity, constitution, and intelligence and things like that. Because again, not only is it not D&D, but the moment that you start down the path of this race is smarter than that race, it just gets real slippery real fast. Yeah. So one of the things we wanted the game to be built around was skills and values. Again, it's what are you good at and what's important to you. So then you can have the three of us is black people, you can have CB and I as large black males, and yet our stat blocks are completely different because it's just, what do you care about? Because even when you bake that into the foundation of your narrative of the game, but when you're telling the player day 1, minute 1, session 0, that what you care about is important, you're already sprinkling the seeds of role playing versus just being, oh, well, you're a troll and you enrage at 50% hit points and here's your battle axe, GG. They're sitting at the table with a different expectation of what is to come. And once we had that, and then the cultures started kind of blossoming out. The cultures, once we kind of had the guiding principle of like, here's who these people are and here's how they got where they are, the cultures came about very organically, of a lot of us being like, oh, well, wouldn't it be dope if blank? Oh, I think it'd be cool if this, and that's where a lot of that stuff came from. And then the classes came about from something similar of how do we do things that you're aware of? Like, I mean, for instance, honestly, 3 of them are healers. Lightbringers and Biopriests are all healers, but they're combat healers, and then they're different combat healers, and they're combat healers for a different reason, and wanted to be able to put those spins on it in such a way that characters could be distinct from each other, but even 2 members of the same class could be distinct. And having 2 of the 4 pioneer players play the same thing was actually kind of a good stress test for that, because I don't think Akimba and Captain Silent 919 feel like the same character, even
No, not at
though
all.
technically they're both paladins. Again, I know I just got done saying we're not using that parlance, and then I just said actually I guess they're more like clerics and Ily's more like a paladin actually, but in very broad strokes.
Yeah, that going back to what you were saying about the dice pool, that reminds me of the very first, like the first roll of like the first full session of Into the Motherlands, where DJ like hitched, like just like botched the whole thing because once again like didn't have the hindsight or like the knowledge, the depth of knowledge into the game to know that maybe I shouldn't be adding that many dice to my dice pool.
Mhm.
But then again, like that's what we're all there to find out because like it was as a watcher, it was an entertaining moment to be like, all right, first roll of the game, let's go.
Mhm. Oh, womp womp. Yeah, womp
Mhm.
womp. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is when you get those things called hitches, the storyteller gets to do some things, to your detriment, but you also gain something called plot points, which are sort of how you power some of your abilities. So your failures directly make your greater successes possible, which
Yeah.
is a design principle of Cortex that I really enjoy. That it's not always wins, and even when you lose, it's not all bad. I will tell you this though. When Akimba was taking all that stress and the rocket went off and like blew up and he got knocked out of the chair and all that, Akimba was in bad shape. Akimba was in worse shape than y'all thought he was.
Yeah, I
like,
realized that.
I was like, is your boy gonna die in episode 2? What?
That's what I thought.
I mean,
I was
look.
so nervous. I was
Mhm.
like, okay, Akimba's gonna die in episode 2, and then Scylla and Victor are gonna fight. Like that's what's going to happen.
Mhm.
It could have, if that's
And
how
then-
the
and
dice
then
fell,
it's
it could
gonna
have.
be one of those black reality shows that I'm like, okay, well, there's a
Oh
lot
no!
happening.
Oh no! Wait, so did it mean that Scylla and Victor were essentially Pumpkin in New York for a second, or like Delicious in New
Yo, deep
York?
cut, not
Delicious
Pumpkin.
in New
I was
York.
about to say, not
Yeah.
Pumpkin. Pumpkin was kind of useless, but
Oh, no,
deep cut.
Yeah.
Or I guess a more appropriate reaction is wow.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Oh.
Sorry, Cypher. No, yeah, no, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I'm not looking at chat. Is Tanya up in her?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tanya
Yeah.
up in her.
Mhm. I hope you heard me saying all those nice things about you. I'm gonna say some more. Tanya is brilliant and hardworking, and I'm telling you, if you don't follow Tanya, toss her a follow. You're missing out. Yeah. Don't say anything grimy. She will roast you though. And then
Toss some
I'm
coins too because I said
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
true.
Do
Yep.
all of that.
Subs, keep the lights on.
Invicta will remember that. I mean, okay, I'm a little concerned about how Invicta will remember that, affecting B Dave. I'm just wondering.
Hey, I don't know, when it's gonna happen, but I have created a worthy adversary for all of you. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
That's all I'm gonna say. It's fine.
really?
Nah, it's
Oh,
good.
really?
It's good. No, it's super
Okay.
happy fun time. No, it's all everything's good.
Yeah.
Although I will tell you this was another one of those design principles. Because fairly early in the process, Tanya knew she wanted to do science fiction. I think that was one of the first things that
Science fiction double feature. Sorry.
it was clear. But again, science fiction wears a lot of different masks. But the tone we were after with this is, to me, I dearly love Star Wars and I love Star Trek. And to me, the difference between those things is Star Wars is in a dark, scummy world where evil has won. Good is on its heel because good is always on its heels. Things might work out temporarily, but you just kind of always are getting pushed back again. Star Trek's not like that. They're out there having a good time. They enlist in Starfleet because they wanted to, and they go and they have problems, but then they solve their problems, and then they go back to having a good time. That's why they're all having poker night and concerts and stuff on the Enterprise.
Everyone's got a cocktail all the time.
Exactly. The Riker can, Riker maneuver over all those chairs. And we definitely wanted the tone of this to be more positive exploration, I mean, things are going to happen, intense things are going to happen because, again, that's life. But we definitely we didn't want a tragic, angst-filled tone because, quite frankly, Black folks tend to lead tragic, angst-filled lives. And
Preach
so,
on it.
and
I
so,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. We were like, you know what? Here, we're gonna go out in space and do some stuff. Yeah. So it's part
I
of
love
why.
that.
Yeah. Well, but all of those things did not come about at random. Those are very much woven into the fabric of the game and woven into the fabric of the stream, which then allows the backdrop for the performers then to bring to it what they're going to bring to it and extend that out and extend the meaning of those things, like choices DJ has made for Akimba has literally altered the lore of his people. Like when he's like made statements about his life and where he comes from, we're like, oh, okay, then that now means this. It's like in Star Wars, Obi-Wan said for 1,000 generations the Jedis were the peacekeepers of the old republic. That one sentence has spawned countless stories and games and movies and things. And with this, almost everything they're saying is that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings me to like my next question, actually, which is, what do you see for the future of Into the Motherlands? Like, are we talking 6 seasons in a movie, or is this like a one and done? Like, what in a perfect world, what would you see? And then a part
6
two
seasons,
while
a
you're still
movie,
thinking
a
about
radio
that.
play,
Yo, right? And the
action
matching
figures,
hoodie.
matching
And then
hoodie.
the part 2 of that is live action or animated for Into Motherlands.
Either, because I can be in the show or I can voice act in the show, so I'm good. I do have, if I'm ever blessed to guest on the show, I absolutely know in what capacity I'd be on the show. So I'd be glad to see that. Either way, Gabe, we got a plan. Gabe Hicks and we got a plan. But I think, and this is one of the things we've discussed, because let me put on my business hat for y'all for a second here, because a lot of you may not know that like my actual background is marketing. Like that's what I do. I own my own business for years, a chief marketing officer of a couple of different companies. So like content and promotion is like my life and a thing that I understand. And so I don't do any of this stuff at random. In none of the things you see me do, the moves I'm making, it is never at random. And we have discussed in length many times, what is it that we want this to be? Because that will affect your choices. It will affect what you do in the short term. It will affect what you do in the long term. Is this just a paid gig where we're all going to do like a season or two and then kind of scatter? Or is this, something we're really trying to build that is going to last and become something iconic? I will say, obviously, you only have so much control over what resonates and what doesn't, and what people, really come to love. But I feel like what we're doing here in the story we're telling is resonating. So, the short answer is the sky's the limit. I don't think this will get me in trouble with Tanya to say that, we want to publish our own book, put out our own full game so people can play it at their tables. I would love to see the book come out and other people be doing streams and telling stories in our universe. I would love to see it. I guess the simple answer is I don't see a limit to it. I mean, there's no reason why, we can't climb up and be, as hallowed a stream as Critical Role, and have the brand to be just as synonymous with things like D&D and Vampire and Cyberpunk and Cthulhu and Motherlands, and, as you're listing things off. I think nothing can stop us. Going all the way up to
the east side.
To the east side.
Mm-hmm. Remix. Yeah.
Not remix.
Mm-hmm.
No, you said that, and it just makes me think about, you actually said something that like really stuck with me, which is, did you want this to be just, a season or two where you're getting paid and then you're done? Or is it something that you truly want to see go forward? And just because you do something for a season or two and be done doesn't mean you don't care, but that's just what you were looking at. So I can't wait to see whatever comes next for this, because I believe that all of you are looking past the immediate. You're looking past what's there now. You're looking for what can happen in the future.
Yeah. I will say we are playing the long game. I mean, at the end of the day, you can only see so far. You can just have your intention, but we are definitely playing the long game.
Nice.
Yeah. So hopefully, but that's what's my alarm going off to tell me? What am I supposed to do? Oh,
You're saying
You
Jesus
yeah.
in
wept,
trouble?
so
I mean, right? I'm pretty sure it's just set for the wrong time at the other place. But I do this to myself, and then I include these like weird, just like cryptic messages that made sense to me at the time. That I'll be like the blue one 415, and I'm like, what? And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and then but yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'll tell you this also, since I've kind of been blessed to do a lot more role playing development, role playing writing lately. That was kind of one of the big surprises of 2020 for me, is some of those opportunities that came down the pipeline and the doors that have opened and have continued to open. And role playing publishing is, quite frankly, it's a tough business. There's usually, not huge margins. There's not a lot of money in it. You would think there is when you're paying $50 for books and stuff, but a lot of
If
money
you're
goes
paying
into
for the books.
if you're paying for the books, and then money goes into art and development and in everything all the way up. But it is incredibly fun to me. And I'm so passionate about storytelling because a speech I know CB has heard me give, most of y'all have heard me give, is that, life is hard, man. Life is hard. And if something I can do or something we can do can give people just an escape from their troubles for a little while, to take their mind off of the things that are bothering them and go on a journey with people that they're invested in and feel like they're a part of, feel like they're a part of a community, to feel like they're not alone, like they're not weird, like they're not crazy, to give people the gift of belonging and feeling like they're a part of something. Because that's all fandom is feeling like you're a part of something. And to whatever extent this story can do that for people is as far as I'm going to try personally to push it all the way to the end, in whatever that looks like. If it's 2 seasons, if it's 6 seasons in a movie, if 40 years from now we're at Motherlands Con sitting around telling these stories, I'm in for all of it.
That'd be pretty great.
Just picturing a Motherlands Con, that would be so lit.
Mhm.
Think I'm not
The
showing up in the
cosplay.
dashiki, and then I'm coming up looking like I'm a Misajai at that point. And then look, think I won't, think I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'll show up looking like crazy like Forrest Whitaker was.
Not Forrest Whitaker. The Black Panther will have his power to streak away.
Away. Yeah.
A question that I was thinking of, and it's always stuck with me, and I've said it many times, but now that you hear, y'all got Motherlands Con money? Okay, let's Kickstarter that, Indiegogo that. Something that stuck with me, and it's still because I used to be that kid where I would like be in class and I should be like paying attention, and I somewhat am, but I would just like read the history book, even though a lot of it is Anglo-Saxon colonized history. I still read it because it was just very interesting. So the fact that you all built this, well, a big starting concept for you all was Mansa Musa, and him being like the richest Black person ever. Like, was that always a starting point for y'all? Like, what made you go, that's what I want to start with? Or in the same vein, were there any other like prominent people or time that you was thinking of making the starting point, or like
having hit on the idea of Black excellence free from colonialism? Obviously Wakanda's an influence. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anybody. To have Mansa Musa have been the wealthiest man in the world, and him having dispatched this fleet that never arrived, that's all true. He was real. He did send those ships. Now, debatably, whether or not they never arrived, you got to do some reading into that. Personally, I think they got there and they became the Olmecs, but that's just me. That's the conversation that we'll have on a different podcast. But either way, this wealthy, influential, intelligent man who existed launched this expedition. And I try and hook everything I do into as much history as possible. Like my graphic novel Electropunk about Nikola Tesla and things. There's lots of things like as they're making their way through the world, they encounter a lot of people and places that were real. Because I think when you find out about that and then you go and you do some research about it, that just makes it all that more fulfilling. Even in A Darkened Wish, although it is fictitious, I still very much hooked it into the history of the Forgotten Realms. So when they're there, when Mintarn got destroyed, I mean, that is part of the canonical lore of the Forgotten Realms that happened. So it came up very, 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 very quickly into it because it provided an easy opportunity to set the stage that we were trying to set. We definitely kind of went back and forth, at least initially, of, I don't mean to make this sound like diminishing, but are we just like black people in space now? Like what was that stupid UPN show? Was it Homeboys in Space? Was Homeboys on Another Planet? What was the
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. But the reason why we didn't do it expressly in the modern day, because that was one of the early ideas, like, is this just kind of, a POC vessel, that has just gone into space to colonize things and or explore. And we realized early we couldn't do that in such a way shaking all the nonsense and baggage and the things that is our lives now. We had to go like back to a further point than that before things split, which is kind of why it's the story starts so far in the past to still be set in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because most any other way we did it brought some other baggage along with it. And quite frankly, I think that Ethiopia during that time in the empire that was taking place over there is nowhere near as familiar to people as say something like Greece or Rome, where they think they know. And honestly, a lot of those ideas are wrong. Like thinking that everybody in Greece and Rome were lily white. They weren't. All of those civilizations were very multicultural.
I literally I just learned the thing that I was kind of shook at. That we look at all these statues that like the marble white, and the original statues weren't. People just thought that's what they were, and that became the norm. Making these pale marble things that were not meant to be pale marble. That happened with time.
They're very colorful. Like, they're very painted. Just heads up, I just got a weird internet error. If I drop, I'll be right back. I don't know. It just came up like, bro. And I'm like, all right. So, yeah.
If it was Zoom always does that.
But, that was, it was, and I think, again, this is more of a storytelling thing. For those of you out there that are content creators, because some rules of story are just true, whatever medium you're talking in. And a lot of that is you gotta ask yourself from the very beginning, what is this story about? I mean, really that's called the theme, but it's deeper than that. What is this story about? And we knew what the story was about. And because of that, a lot of the other details kind of easily filled in themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that 100% totally makes sense. Okay, I wanted to take a step back before we go into fan art and then have a quick break. So earlier you said that you had an idea. If you were to play a character, what would it be? Can you, if you don't want to give us the full details, which I completely understand, what culture would your character be from? I mean, I feel like you already said it, but we want an official answer.
My character would not serve aboard the vessel with the crew.
Oh, really? Oh, I think I understand why. And I want to say I want to be that culture as well because they just seem awesome.
Wait, now I want to know.
Man, I'll tell y'all during the break. I'll tell y'all. I just won't tell you. Chat. Yeah.
Valid.
Sorry, chat. Right. I will say, y'all, if you know me, the answer to this should be completely obvious. That's all I have to say.
Lord.
Well, on that note, document.
I'm like, well, on that note. I believe we're going to get into some fan art.
You know what? Hold on a second here, just so I don't leave y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna say in chat right now what it is.
Okay.
So you watch their faces, y'all. There
Now
you
we
go.
gotta wait for the.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was
Right.
like wondering. I was like, yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense. That tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
tracks.
Yep.
That
Yep.
that doesn't. That's not shocking at all.
Yeah.
It's very on brand, very consistent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I have no idea when / even if that would be a thing. But if it were to be a thing, that is the thing.
All right. All right.
Mhm.
Yep.
All right. Looks like we've got into some of this fan art.
Ooh. Oh my
Bertrand.
god.
Oh my god. Wait, hold on. Candy, go back. I think it's set on like auto scroll or auto flip.
Is it like that like vaguely 3D Bertrand that's so adorable?
The toy Bertrand.
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
I just
so cute.
and I love the little Among Us floating outside.
So so I know that that bronze girl came up with the story, and subsequently Bertrand and like the other characters that we'll eventually meet in the story.
Mhm.
What were there any? Well, you said that the ship might be playing into something that you are working on. Were there any characters that you like had your hand in, or like personality seep through? We're gonna see a little bit of B Dave and coming through Eugenia.
I would simply say again, I have created a worthy adversary for all of you.
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
That based on what we just saw in our Zoom chat, I'm a little afraid for everyone involved.
Hey, they invited me. I want you to know this. Like they asked me to do this.
Yeah. We asked you more than once too, because we have to get scheduling to work out. Yeah.
No, I don't just mean you asked me here to be like I am. I mean, they invited me to participate in Motherland. So whatever happens now, they asked me to do this. That is all.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Candy. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think for me also, if you think about iconic science fiction franchises, a lot of that is defined by their foes.
Yeah.
There is no Star Wars without the Sith. There is no Doctor Who without the Daleks. There is no Star Trek without the Klingons and the Romulans. There's no Battlestar Galactica without the Cylons. I hope I have given you something that will be both great and terrible. That's all I have
There's
to say.
no Captain Silent 919 without Invicta. There's no...
No, but they're fronts. They paint each other's nails and stuff. No, just hey, word is Invicta wanted to wet her blades. So hey, there it is.
Yeah, bring me to. I got one more question, if you don't mind.
Sure, whatever.
So I've been asking everyone, and like, feel free. I guess if you want to give a political answer, but if they had to go combat, Invicta, Silent 919, who would win?
Invicta runs her over.
Ooh,
Invicta
that's the opposite of what
her.
everyone else has been saying. Wow.
Here's the difference. Not to flex, but this is the time to flex. I wrote the rules. I know what they're both capable of. Invicta runs her over.
Now, okay, but
I thought you said Silent at first. My bad. Everyone was saying Silent would win. Yeah, my bad.
I want to bring that back though. You say you wrote the rules and that you know that Invicta would run her over, probably quite literally. But knowing also what Silent can do, you don't think that Silent would not necessarily outsmart. How do you what other than mechanics? What makes you automatically say Invicta?
Okay, few things. Obviously, a couple things. This is no shade.
I'm not even devil's advocating right now. This is me curious.
Obviously,
why you think that?
this is no shade to Christina, of course, but and obviously the dice giveth and the dice taketh away. But Invicta, being a Hyanol, they're still a brilliant race. They're engineers and tacticians. Like remember, she's the odd one out for becoming a warrior. Walking the path of the sword. So even though it is not like Captain Silent 919 just pure mechanically looking at them on paper, it is not like she has a vast tactical or even intellectual advantage over Invicta. And then, yeah, Scylla can access certain ship systems and things of that nature, but I mean, I just don't know she's gonna be able to reroute power before that sword was out of the sheath. I'll just tell you this, just a mechanics thing that hasn't come up yet, but is true. One of the Blade Keeper abilities is to go first. Like in this game's initiative system, it's just to go first. Like you cannot outmove her. So the moment you're like, I got you, she's like, or your head's off. Whoops. So that's why I'm like, Invicta runs her over. That's my vote, personally.
Yeah.
That's
when we get back to Tanya, I'm gonna have Tanya, you got a week to answer this. I want to know. I mean, I know we're blending two different systems now, but I want to know Invicta versus Celise.
Yo, let me weigh in on that one.
Give it to us.
Here's why it's kind of not fair, and I'm gonna say for two reasons. Celise, even though they're different systems, Celise is objectively a more powerful character. Even though Cortex doesn't have levels as such, these are essentially level 1-ish, 2-ish characters. Yeah. Celise is way stronger. Celise also has magical powers, also has a big old sword. So I'm gonna put my money on Celise.
Okay, obviously they're at a level difference. I'm like,
but I mean,
let's put them on the same. Let's put them on the same even field.
Even balancing that out, Invicta is fast, but that smite, like smites add up.
He's set the person who likes to double smite. So
right, so,
valid.
In case you get the first time, fuck you again.
Obviously, Tanya is the reigning expert on both of these mighty warriors, but I put my money on Celise, which is also no shade to Invicta. Now we get a spine ripper up in here, yo.
Ooh.
Who can say?
Yep. I want to see that so bad.
With that, let's go ahead and get into this fan art.
All right. I do love the cross of Into the Motherlands and Among Us. It's pretty great. And also what I thought was going to happen while they were investigating what was going on. Like, I was terrified that there was going to be a full-on haunting and we were going to be running for their lives. And
just picturing Into the Motherlands dipping into the occult and the macabre real quick. Like, there's a ghost in the ship.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was also thinking that it was going to be something like Doctor Who-ish with like weeping angels.
Weeping angels? Like no! No way!
Do not test me. That's all I have to say.
Based on what B-Dave has put in our chat, we don't know who or we don't know what can pop up. So
yeah, I'm terrified. I'm gonna pray for all of the crew. Yeah.
There are stranger things in heaven and earth and in dreamt of in all your philosophies, Horatio. Yep.
You better preach.
Can I just say something too while we're looking? I just pulled it up. That was the art I thought you had coming up first. Yes, also Tanya's absolutely right. We need Celise versus Invicta fan art, or by their powers combined, they could bring order to the galaxy, I will say this about fan art, y'all, and I've mentioned this before. I think the reason why fan art means so much to us is it means it's something we created and inspired you enough that you wanted to create something. And I think that is the highest praise you can give an artist. And fan art takes many forms. It's pictures, it's fan fiction, it's recording your own songs. It's just anything that you feel moved to make as a tribute to something, I promise you means the world to the people on the receiving end of it. Especially for smaller streams.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And how quick some of this art comes out as well. Like y'all are writing during the episodes, which is like, I'm surprised that y'all can multitask like that. Like I am eating dinner while I watch and just glued to the screen.
No, but I love this art. I love it so much. First of all, sculpting is not easy to do whatsoever.
No,
whatsoever. Yeah. And like, you've done that even with the damn, I can't.
So
No,
how you
It's
say
it's his
her
little
name?
eyes.
Nortara?
Natara? It's like
Yeah.
Naruto, but Natara.
Like
That is
Naruto.
true. Somebody pointed out the Celeste one-shotted death. That is true. Celeste one-shot death that I was there for because I ran that game.
Ooh.
So I helped her earn the title of Deathbane. But the dice in Tanya's cunning strategery is what gave her victory over death itself. So again, definitely another plus to Celeste.
Did we have any more fan art pieces? I'm not sure.
Oh,
There's oh my gosh.
oh,
Remy coming through with the colors. The way that she
it's
styles her
so
art, it's amazing.
good.
Yes.
Yeah. I lie.
Mm-hmm. We need to see
So
some
damn
I
good.
cosplay.
Please look. If I cut my hair, well, let me really shave my head, but I'll never do that because I have a roller coaster on the back of my head. I would because it looks so good. Just I love the purple and just like the lip and the eyes and just I cannot wait to learn more about Eli. I mean, we know, but I want to know.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, that is a testament to these players, though, that they've brought to life four fully three-dimensional people with their own drives and passions and histories and wants and needs and desires, and it comes across like very overtly and also very subtly, and I think that is wonderful.
Oh my.
Moon's haunted.
Yeah. I mean, where's the lie? I detect 0 lies in that statement.
I saw this one on Twitter and it made me laugh. like I'm standing behind with the knife. But isn't this also a play on another popular meme? Yeah.
Oh, the Moon's haunted.
God.
Yeah.
Oh God. So good, Remy. So damn good.
Yeah.
Aww.
Oh.
Sila
oh my God.
919.
Sila's character growth is like something that I stand for. Absolutely. I want to see more. I want to find out like where she goes with all of this newness. You know, I feel like she's gone through therapy. She's on the other side now. She's trying to like make it all work. And girl, same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you had the ability to just turn all your emotions off, it'd be a valid life path. I'm just saying. Might not be all bad.
Yeah. 100%. Once again, I love the colors. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just about to say I didn't realize until literally just now that a little bit of Sila and just inspired a new character I'm making. In the sense of learning, being someone who isn't humanoid or like somebody who has flesh and blood, learning what emotions and feelings are. I was talking with some people. It's like I cannot wait to go through this character. And we're talking. I was like, oh shit. Where did I just see that at? With Sila 919. And I just, it's such a good character.
Where indeed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that was the last one that we had for this week. If you have any questions for any of our special guests for the week, or if you want to submit your own personal fan art, we have Google form sheets for you to do all of that. And we want to see what you create. We want to highlight it. We want to make sure that you get your 15 moments and being recognized, get your flowers, sis or bruv or whoever you identify as. But yeah, we're going to take a break for 5 to 7 minutes, somewhere in there. Have a bio break, stretch. I'm out of water. Got to stay hydrated out there.
Hydrate.
Hydrate. You already know.
Hey, for real. And my cup is leak proof. So check that.
Are you?
I mean, I'm about to say that that is a YouTube clip waiting to happen. Like I'm not even gonna test fate like that. Be like mine too.
My keyboard.
This stuff costs too much money. No, not even trying.
But yeah, we'll be back. Make sure you stretch, hydrate. Exactly what Pi just said. And you might not realize it, but seriously, get up, even if for a couple of seconds. Get up and just let your body realign. We'll be back with some more episodic, specific questions for Abidav. And again, thank you all for being here. We'll be back.
All right, don't go nowhere. See you in a minute.
Bye. See you in a second.
Bye.
Butts.
But
Let's go.
I just wanted
Oh,
my
hell
left hand
no.
shirt, you know, when the dinner cuts over.
we're back, y'all. What's up?
You know,
Yeah.
I realize we're back, but I'm gonna share. This is one of my one thing that we do in a lot of streams, and it kind of varies by the stream, is when we're getting the countdown, the 10, 9, 8, we'll say something just to try and make each other giggle at the very last second, just something crazy. And we were on Silver and Steel on D&D Beyond, which is a decidedly family show. But he's like 5, 4, 3, and I'm like, fuck the police. 2, 1. And it turns out it went in and they heard it. And they were like, would you be okay if we cut that from the YouTube? I'm like, yeah, you can cut that from the VOD. Don't get me wrong, I meant it. But yeah, you don't need a permanent record
Yeah.
for your sake, not for mine. But for you, yes.
And with that, we are back. Welcome back, everyone. Hope that your break was well. Hope you got water, got some hydration going on. Full cup of water, okay? You know, leak proof.
Tempting fate there. I'm telling you.
And you know what?
The minute you said it, I'm like, nope.
Mhm.
So I already embarrassed myself 3 times with this cup on air because it is leak proof, and I put carbonated water in it. And carbonated water needs air so that the carbonation can then release.
You like carbonated water?
Oh yes, I'm a classy ass bitch. Oh yeah. I buy by the cases.
The quickest of stories about carbonated water. The quickest of stories. So when I was in high school, I went to Italy and Greece between junior and senior year. We don't got money, that was just a fluke. But we went, and so the first couple of days we were in Rome, and we got like free Rome as long as we was an adult, of course. And we was out there for like hours, and I was like, where is the nearest little compartment store or whatever they have here? Because I need some water in my spirit right now. Like my spirit's yearning for H2 Agua. Well, I go to the nearest store, and it's great. And I was like, I need some water. And they pointed to the little case, and I saw all the water in the water bottle. And I was like, and I saw all the water bottles in the little display, and I was like, "Great, thank you." I paid for it. I opened it. I chugged. What I did not see is that it said agua frizzante. I chugged. I choked. I spit all that water out on the floor. I felt really bad.
Yeah.
Oh. Gotta drink that Perrier. Stay classy. Yeah.
Stay classy as hell. But when you put carbonated water into a container that does not allow things out of it, it finds a way. You know, like physics finds a way all the time. So I put my carbonated water in here, closed it up, sat down, and then right out the straw into my face. And I, am a 100% not a person who sleeps with men, but I was like, oh my God, that is rude and like aggressive and offensive.
You know what it's like.
I don't understand. I don't understand how anyone would put up with that, there was no warning,
Wait.
The haste of the warning is directly proportional to how much we like you. That's all. 1 to 1. 1 to 1.
Wait, but that can happen with women too. Like, hold on now. Let's not act like.
Let me just say this. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas, and the peak of my southern bouginess was making Kool-Aid with carbonated water. You want to know how the other half lives? Get you some red Kool-Aid, make it with Perrier.
Red, which is a fruit punch, which is a tropical punch, which is the cherry. It's red.
It's red.
Yeah,
red
it's
flavored
red.
Kool-Aid. Yeah, try it. Just saying, try it. Change your life.
I might have to make that mammoth jam happen.
That's one from your old friend, Brother Dave. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna come back from the bouginess right now and get into this gig. We have a couple of questions that are somewhat, but they're somewhat episode specific. However, it's still coming from the eyes and the mind of the developer. Mm-hmm. And the first one that it's the first one, but we kind of answered it a little bit, but still, just to get a little more in detail with as much time as we have. When Eugenio was coming up with the story for the PCs, are you involved in that process as well? Past what we know that Jasmine created the outline for the the story that they're telling. And we know that he's filling in those circles, he's filling in
Mhm.
those lines with his own thing. So
Mhm.
anything you have like interjected in there, anything you don't, how does that work?
Mostly my part in the narrative of what you've seen on the screen is
Hmm.
making sure the rules exist for what's going to happen. Like when Jasmine wrote the story that heavily involved them going into space, because one of the earliest design principles of the game is they were going to stay on the main planet for a while, because one thing that I don't like about Star Trek, I mean, don't like is strong, but uh, is not my favorite thing about Star Trek. What Star Wars does slightly better is they essentially make whole entire planets just a town. Like in The Witcher, he rolls into a town, he kills a monster, he leaves. Star Trek does that same thing, but it's the whole world, because you're like, oh, well, to join the Federation, you've already kind of like have this contiguous culture. And we wanted individual places to matter. That even though this might be a universe of, dozens or hundreds of systems over the fullness of time of the story we're telling, the fact that you're on the eastern continent should mean something. The fact that this is the jungles should mean something. And pending the scope of the story you're telling, that is difficult to do. But Jasmine very much had this idea of at least wanting to do some regional space travel very quickly. So I was like, okay, then I need to create the ship. I need to create the rules for ships, the rules for ships combat. Like one of the things I put in place was having different duty stations where everyone could have something to do while the ship is, well, because a lot of times in games like this, we have ship combat, the pilot's doing stuff and everybody else is like, well, hopefully we don't die. And then the opposite is also true, where you might have the character that is the pilot, but when the lion's share of the game is on land, the pilot's useless. So we were trying to not do that. Same thing, when Jasmine very much came up with the idea of, they're looking for the water here, the Hathaway, many elements of the Hathaway are an homage to her own Indian culture. With several of our people, we tried to do that. That it's like if you came up with a culture and you wanted to nod to something from your own past, please do that. But for instance, like what's really happening to the water required an adversary, but then I created the adversary, you know?
Mhm.
Where I was like, well, here's what's happening, and this is why it's happening. And talk Eugenio extensively about like what their motivation is. Because to go back to what we were saying about some of the cultural sensitivity reads and things we've done, and a drum that you'll hear me bang on all the time about D&D, is that intelligent creatures should behave intelligently. And if you're telling a story where the orcs are attacking because they're orcs, it's just lazy storytelling. They still want something. Are they trying to have food for the winter? Are they defending themselves? Did they get driven out of their home and now they're coming this way? It doesn't mean that you can't have bad guys that are bad guys. Because I think the pendulum swings too far in the other direction, where you get stories where it's like, well, there are no bad guys. It's all just morally gray. It's like, no, you can have enemies, but the enemy should have a logical reason for why they're doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
Um, and so, that I would say that has probably been my biggest personal contribution. Maybe, we'll see how it plays out practically. It may be a very, very small contribution in the grand scheme of things. But that's been more my part. Like, what are you intending to do? What do you need to make sure that happens?
Yeah.
Like what pylons need to already be driven into the ground
Mhm.
in order for you to be able to tell the story that you're trying to tell. Like I mean, just to throw out an example, when we were defining the type of stress that you endure. This game doesn't have hit points as such, you have stress, but it's highly ingenious because you can have a character who is so terrified they can no longer fight even if they haven't taken a single point of physical damage, versus other games, D&D for instance. Until you drop to 0 hit, you're just as effective at 1 hit point as you are at 400 hit points. Like, you do literally every single thing you can do until that very last second. This isn't like that, and it starts wearing you down. And one of the things some of the characters can do, like for instance, something I like can do, is trade people's types of stress and can even take their stress onto themselves is the type of healer Eli is. Literally takes your pain away. But then that is going to put them in a situation where now they're trying to balance these things and what's this doing to them and stuff like that, which is, again, a very ingenious system. But as we were defining the types of stress, we also had to define situations that can then inflict that kind of stress.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to introduce the concept of stage fright into a story, you've got to introduce the concept of a performance, into the
True.
story to make sure
True.
it comes up. So stuff like that is mostly been my hand in it.
Yeah, no, yeah. So, okay. So getting to the main point of what I want to say is my question is, were there any talks about the moon being scarier or leaning more into it being haunted? And the reason why I say that, and I want to go back and try to kind of explain it, is because the way that like Jasmine created the story and Eugenio's like taking the words and adding like life to these words, and the world is being created alongside of it. It all kind of seems like the wheels are turning simultaneously at more than one place, and so were there conversations about like making certain places different before it was locked into stone on the screen, so was the moon a scarier place?
Well, the final arbiter of all those things is Eugenio. And everyone who, has told a story, there's plenty of times you sit down thinking what is going to happen, and the dice and the players dictate something else completely.
Yeah.
So even if we talked about, for sure, this is what is going to happen, role play, and you're like, well, now it's not that. Now it's this, So while I cannot speak completely to his plan, both it is his plan and I don't want any spoilers. For instance, what I knew and what I've known from the very beginning is what's actually out there and what's actually happening. And I did make a point that aspects of that should be fucking terrifying when they happen. So hopefully they will be, yeah, hopefully they will be.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
yes.
well, I was just because you always want to try and hit those different emotional notes of ups and downs. And in terms of narrative pacing, people can't stay on edge for long. Arguably, some people say it's a maximum of 20 minutes, to tell you the truth, of any feeling. That's why in any comedy, it can't be joke, 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 joke. You know what I mean? Like you have to literally give people a second to reset. Same thing with a scary movie. It can't just be running from the chainsaw, running from the chainsaw, running from the chainsaw. Like you need moments that aren't that to kind of wave up and down. And that's true over the course of the episode, but it's also true over the course of the season. So where you have these beautiful moments of painting each other's toenails and getting cheese sweats, but there also need to be moments of being like, oh shit, death is imminent, in order to make those other things make sense. And honestly, I'm very interested to see how it plays out practically. I'm interested to see how lethal it will really be and how merciful or not merciful Eugenio is. I will say, from a design perspective, I always do these things the same way when I'm crafting a story. I make sure there is a solution to the problem. I've been doing this long enough that I know the dice and the players will trick me. They will think of something I didn't, but I always make sure there's a solution, and then I make it as bad as I possibly can. And that is what I've done. So, yeah.
Yeah, the and what I was gonna say when I really interrupted you, apologies for that, was that it really feels like I'm watching like a well-crafted sci-fi show. When I watch other streams, like even streams that I'm a part of, like it doesn't feel like there's an overall arch, and maybe that's because like the gameplay gets broken up with the storytelling and the role playing and whatnot, that sometimes I lose track of like where we're at in the story, or like maybe there's too many hypes like that. But like one of the things I really like about Into the Motherlands is that I definitely know that I'm watching an episode of something
Yeah.
that fits within a bigger story, which it fits into a bigger universe,
Yeah,
So
that is all the credit to the people you see on the screen and into Jasmine's narrative descriptions, because I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you.
Something that is very interesting for me is that right now we're on, well, not right now, but this game mostly takes place on the planet of Musalia or Vitola. Will we, with that being said, and now that we're on this moon settlement, is there any plans that you all have to like have other planets in the campaign? Will we ever see anything like that? I know that's a big thing to ask because that's an entire different world. But
Yeah.
like, was it always meant to be so confined to this one planet during this thing, or like, how does that work for y'all?
I personally would like to see a lot more of Musalia. I think there was a thought that they were going to go on this mission, kind of go there and back again, and then stuff on the planet would be happening. But it was so important, again, to let the scenes breathe and let the players breathe, let them get to know each other and get to know this world, and get to know this game and the setting, that I think it was very, very smart of Eugenio to kind of slowboat some of that, because you have to put a name on a thing and give it value before you can risk it. Like, just to give you an example, the first stream I did was called Theogony of Kairos, which was they started at level 0, and then they're all chosen by the gods to become level 20. They essentially are chosen to become gods. And it was a D&D stream. If you want to see it, holler at me. My teams are open on Twitter. I'll send you a link. It's nowhere public right now. But I knew I could have started them off like episode 1, minute 1, you find Thor's hammer and it's on. And if I was like, that's the kid that bullied you in high school, you'd be cool to disintegrate. So I couldn't do that. I had to let them spend some time in the village where they knew the bully, they knew the baker, they knew the priest, they knew the mayor. So that when the time came that I put those people in danger, the characters would care, and by extension, the audience would care. And that's the same thing with this. Bertrand is important, not just because he represents all of the Hathorayans, and now everybody's willing to fight or die to protect the Hathorayans because of Bertrand, but he also is a stand-in for even what kind of universe do they live in, because the 4 of them are all such different personality types, but they're all relatively mellow people, like none of them are overly gregarious characters. So he introduces the fact that gregariousness does exist here, that somebody that you want to grab and just give a big hug to exists. If a different kind of character had been in the position of Bertrand from the very beginning, the entire tone of the story would feel different, if the Lara Croft Tomb Raider icy badass had been the engineer on this ship, literally all of it would feel different. So it was necessary to kind of lay this foundation, because now you can start playing off of that. You can start meeting these different people. You can meet space pirates. You can meet other people that I'm really looking forward to meet, and then go back to Masalia and do more work with Torch and all that stuff. So hopefully that is what we will see more of. More time on the main planet, more time seeing what the cultures are really like, more time seeing the day-to-day. But it's gonna go where it goes. And hopefully we'll be blessed to have time to tell all those stories.
And just real quickly, just kind of go off of that a little bit. Because now they're on the moon settlement, do you it's a weird question to ask. Not necessarily are you excited they're on the moon settlement, but it's more so now that they've said this is a place we are, is this now an opportunity for y'all to build out this moon settlement, or build out the moon in a more than you expected to from the jump? Like, is this like a win-win situation? Like, now that you're there, you might as well use it? Or is it like, let's get back to the mainland? So,
definitely we're there.
Like
we're there. Definitely,
hindrance?
definitely we're there. Use it. We're there. Use it. And I think that's what you've seen happen. I mean, again, we already know more about where the Hathorayans live than we do about Musalia. But I think that's cool, though. I think that is because there's no wrong way to kind of skin that cat. But I think the overall tone of this, I think, I could be quite wrong about this, is kind of going to be this crew goes on missions. And sometimes they're at home, sometimes the mission is far, sometimes the mission is close. There's going to be things they might have to do in their own city. And I think that honestly is almost more of a nod to Star Trek of how rarely they got back to Earth. I think the reason why you could kind of do that with Star Trek, though, is we're aware of the concept of Earth in a way that we're not aware of the concept of Musalia.
Makes sense.
But I have absolute faith in Eugenio's ability to weave the narrative. So I'm just, there's no wrong answer. Basically, there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. Speaking of this, going back to the storyline and Eugenio and the masterpiece that he's spinning for us, have there been any surprises for you? Like, I realize that it's kind of difficult to surprise you, like, since you're like behind the scenes so integrated. But like, have you been like, oh shit, like I didn't think about that, or I did, like, we did not plan that. I need to like go back and like you were saying earlier, like rewrite some stuff.
Oh, I've had to rewrite something literally every episode. Literally every episode. I had to like change something or add something and like, oh, that's a thing now. I think I was kind of with Akimba with like space doesn't work like that. a lot of those things. I think a lot of stuff with Silent 919's dreads. Like, I'll do this with my dreads, and Eugenio's been like, okay, and I'm like, I mean, I guess, okay.
Okay. There are no rules that say that she can't. So
now that's the thing. Yeah, all right, yeah, that's the thing. I think some of the specifics like that. I think if anything, I won't say I was surprised because I expected the cast to bring it. I expected the role play and the interplay to be rich. I personally expected it to take longer than everybody thought because they would need time to kind of find their legs. I think honestly, if anything, I've been surprised that the system has worked as well as it has. Because I mean, we put the bones of it at least together very quickly. And Cam helped a lot, and we all worked hard on it, and everybody had their hands on it. And to have made it 8 episodes in and not have discovered, oh shit, we didn't cover what a long rest is. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, we don't know how they heal. Whoops. Like something like that, to have had everything work as well as it has, honestly, I think has been the most surprising thing to me. But hey, that's a credit to the team, though, and credit to the strength of Cortex.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be a little more specific, and just watching these characters, I think, especially because they're Manzagene, I think some of us might have thought that Silent 919 might be more of the sassy one, especially because that emotional feeling inhibitor thing doesn't really exist. So like your brand of speaking might be a little more blunt, and therefore sassy and honest. But we're starting to see that role be filled by Eli instead. Is there more to their story that you're like interested in seeing, or is there more to like, do you know more about them? And obviously you're not about to spoil anything for us, but like, how has that been for you? And on kind of in the same breath, between, I mean, not to really put them in that spot, but between like Eli and Ikemba, do you see yourself more in Eli's shoes or in Ikemba's shoes?
More Ikemba. I did not know DJ before this started. I'd never met the guy. I met Michael in person at a con, and we've Twitter known each other, and of course I know Tanya and Christina very well, and I hadn't met Eugenio either. So I'm kind of learning who they are, is people behind the scenes and as players on the screen. And DJ and I are apparently the same person. So. But a lot of the things he says both in chat and even a lot of the things that Kimba does, I'm like, of course, like that the thing he said that, so definitely more the Akimba of all this. And the let us be luxurious to one another from episode 1. I was like, I just want that tattooed like thug life old English letters like across my
Yeah,
snout, just being
the whole mood.
luxurious to one
A
another.
whole mood. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, I don't know to what extent these were conscious choices on behalf of the cast, many of whom have already been on here, and I suppose you could ask if those who haven't are going to come back. But again, as performers of color, we have to be careful because it's fine to be, gregarious and funny. Like I tell jokes and laugh in every stream that I'm on, but it very quickly could devolve into minstrelsism if you're not careful. Or people will try and put you in the box of minstrelsism, even if you're using humor in another way. And I think everybody has been aware of not wanting to be the yeah guy. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
they all bring a certain gravity to the role, which I personally have really appreciated getting to see happen, because finding the right tone in a story is difficult. And I've had streams with people where I had to pull them aside and I'm like, yo, this is not the dick joke story. That's not this. Like it isn't. Like you need to keep those to yourself, because I mean those exist. That's not this one. Whereas I feel everybody got the vibe instantly, and also found a vibe amongst themselves, where everybody was kind of on the same energetic plane, that I think has been really great, especially when I feel like Eugenio is just so cheerful and radiant. And it's kind of like it's almost like the high school teacher that comes in and it's like, it's time to learn, everyone, and then you've got the class that is like and then it goes where it goes. Yeah.
Nice.
Um, yeah, I personally like. Maybe it was because Eli was the last one to be like have the line drawing and artwork finished. But I didn't have a connection with Eli until like maybe episode 2, maybe until I saw Eli like begin to stand up for themselves when it came to Sila, and when it came to just talking in general. Like I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I had my reservations about Eli, but now I'm like, my favorite, Eli, hands down. Yeah, favorite
Yeah.
character.
Well, but again, that's the beauty of it. Everyone should find something that they can, hook onto and see themselves in and see themselves reflected in. Because there will be time to time, moment to moment, you'll see it. But somebody that you feel like you're in their shoes in these situations. I don't know, when Michael was on, did he talk terribly a lot about the creation of Eli and some of the decisions that went into it?
Yeah, actually Michael went kind of, yeah, a pretty in depth into like why they chose Eli and why they wanted to add in like their medical combat history into Eli and how like they became to be and whatnot. It was really interesting to talk
Yeah.
to him about Eli.
Yeah. So, well, I won't repeat that, especially because he's the expert. But well, I know that he thought very long and hard about things, about whether or not he's going to make Eli non-binary. Like that
Hmm.
kind of back and forth all the way down to the very last second, which is not uncommon. On I tell people on LA by Night, uh, one of the main cast members, like the show went up on a Thursday, like changed their clan like on Monday, like at the very last second, like massively, completely overwrote one of the characters that everybody's come to know and love. They were going to be something completely different just a few days before. So, but I mean, I'm glad all of them have made the choices that they've made in getting to see them manifest in the way that they have. And I also kind of like the odd through lines of almost all of them being the fish out of water of their people, of
Yeah.
being the one that is like different even from their own kind. Um, which I don't think that is something they discussed among themselves. I could be very wrong. So but I feel like that all happened organically, and
Oh no, I think we're losing
Oh
him.
no.
I think the Zoom finally could put it on him. He'll be back in a second though. Yeah. So while we wait for B-Day to get back, what are you excited to see in the next coming episodes?
I'm always about character development. I'm always
Hmm.
about seeing, especially seeing what. Since I mean, obviously we have to buy two Bia Priest, the Lightbringer and the Blade. I would call Blade Singer. It's not what it's called.
I mean,
Not what it's
Invicta makes the
called.
blade sing with the blood of her enemies. So
I was about to straight up say Blood Singer. I'm like, that is
Yeah. Right.
false.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
yeah. You're
You're
back.
back.
You're
You're
back.
good.
Welcome back.
Sorry about that. Everything choked. I was saying this idea of like racial superiority and things in past versions of D&D and race class combinations and things. We wanted the creatures that look like hyenas, that look like predators, that look like savages. Those are the scholars. You know, like it is not a coincidence that we took that expectation and immediately turned it on its head. Like, oh, you think those are the savages? Actually, you're the savages. You know, like that is that is a very intentional, design decision to make. To, even on a subtle level, make people question their preconceived notions. It's like, oh, I just thought because you look like this, you must be this way. And it's like,
Hmm.
I'm not though. And then Invicta takes that and twists it again, where it's like, my people aren't what you think they are, but also I'm still not what you think they are. I'm me, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, and the fact that all of the characters and all of the players behind those characters have kind of weaved that into their backstory. To take a step briefly into like philosophy and psychology, I think it's a little bit of their personality and their actual life kind of leaking into the character. I feel like in a lot of different aspects, like you can ask anyone, like even though we're people of color, we're some might be a part of like different communities, like you still feel like an individual that might not be going against the grain even within your own little niche community.
Mhm.
Yep.
I love to see it.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I think also everybody took very seriously the idea that this was our opportunity to tell a primarily POC science fiction story. And if you're only going to get one shot at this, I mean, God willing, we'll get 1,000 shots at this. But if you're going to get one shot at this, what is it going to be? And again, they had the opportunity that when we sat down from the earliest design things, one of the things we said to them, we were like, yo, we will make whatever you want. Like if you're like, I want my hands to be cannons that shoot teddy bears, I'd have done it. So a lot of these like races and professions, we didn't call them classes, even though you'll hear me on occasion call them classes, the professions, were still customized for these players. They had to be general enough that anyone could do them, but but specific enough that it is like, what is your vision? Like you want to, who is Silent 919 to you? And tell me, because I will make sure you will get every chance to live into that. You know, and that was true of all of them. So I definitely think there is more of them as people woven into some of these characters than you might see in some other things where here's the player's guide, find a way, versus
Yeah.
like this suit was custom tailored for you.
Hmm.
And I mean,
Hmm.
I know the Lightbringer overtly changed because Michael was like, I kind of want to play a character who's X, Y, and Z. And it was like, dope. I will make sure
Yeah.
mechanically this is X, Y, and Z. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I love to see it. I can't wait to see more. B Dave, thank you so much for coming on to our small show with our great community and talking with the great people out there. We love you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you all for having me. I will just say again, thank you all for watching. Not just this, thank you for watching Motherlands. Yes, Signal Boost. Donate if you can. Literally every little bit counts. If you can only drop a couple bits, it really does all add up. If it's
Do
not
it.
in the budget to support, materially right now, I get it. But Signal Boost, send out clips, talk about it, fan art, all that stuff. Word of mouth is invaluable because when you love something, talk about it a lot and vote with your wallet when you can. Please wear a mask, wash your hands, and for the love of God, stay home tomorrow. But if you can't stay home, at least be careful, please.
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 Yep. That's it. That's it. You know what? Actually, one other thing, because I know we're wrapping this up because all of us got to be somewhere else.
I just gotta step away real quick. Keep talking. 1 second.
Cool, got it. See, we were trying to seamlessly wrap that up so he wouldn't have to do that. But I, the consummate professional that I am, was like, what if I keep talking? What if I also tell you that there was a seamless attempt at wrapping that up behind the scenes that I myself personally sabotaged? But be that as it may,
Okay.
you know, is you watch this, what we're doing, as you watch this story that we're weaving, as you're watching the game that we're creating, the stream and all of this stuff, understand all of these things are available for you to do as well. Every single one of us has been working at this for a long time. Some of these names you may not have known before now. You might not have known mine, but all of us have been hustling hard behind the scenes for a very long time, planting seeds that are blooming now. So if this is something you want to do, if you want to pursue a creative life, if you want to pursue an artistic life, do it. Just start now. Start making things, start writing stories, drawing pictures, talking to people, making friends, making connections, and honing your craft. Because as people start to know you and know what you do and know that you're a reliable person that can be counted on, doors will open for you and opportunities will manifest. I promise you, I'm literally living it right now. It can be done. Just hustle hard. Don't give up.
Yeah. Every day. I mean, that's what I do, shamelessly. I saw, and like for a total tangent, well, before we get ready for CB to come back so we can wrap up. I was watching this YouTube video. This one woman who admittedly is like an attractive woman, right? But like she wanted to like take a career shift, and for a year she decided to just shamelessly promote herself. And like not even a year later, she was like in a different country, like doing all these great things. And like not to say that I would live the same life, and have the same success that she did, but it got it in my head, like, why not just like put my name in the ring, like if it doesn't happen, then I'm at the same spot that I was.
Yes, it costs you nothing to try. And I mean, this show, this after show, you all manifested this. You were like, hey, can we do this? Like this, and here it is. It's happening,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it it's this whole thing is improbable. It is the Wild West right now. 2021 is going to be the Wilder West. Nobody knows what is going to happen. The only mistake you can make is to do nothing. Just
Yeah.
keep grinding. I'm telling you, it will happen. And last year, literally 12 months ago, last November was the darkest point of my whole entire life. Everything was going wrong. And then 12 months later, in the midst of the world being on fire, and we're objectively in the darkest timeline, professionally, everything is turned around. It all can happen so quickly. I'm telling you, just don't give up. Just keep hustling hard. Hey, and like I said, my DMs are open. If you have questions, if you need help with something, if you want to know how to proceed, holler at me. If it's anything you want to know about storytelling and streaming, holler at me. If you want to know about singing and luxuriousness, holler at CB. If you want to know about like network engineering and things of the sort, holler at Pi.
That's what I do. I'm certified.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of Cisco or
AWS cloud architecture.
Hey, back in the day in another
I don't know
life.
what that mean.
I all through college, I worked in IT. I did like desk side support and things like that. And at one point,
Nice.
I thought about going like the tech certification route. Ended up becoming a bodyguard instead because, of course, those are like varying career paths. But
Totally.
as a big ass fork in the road, and it all worked out. So yeah, that's a story for another time.
Yeah. I got my degree in computer science, and I'm a cloud architect now. And so I needed to get the certification to prove that I'm, doing my thing. But yeah, let's wrap this. Let's put a button on this thing because it's late. We're way over time.
I just start saying words about things. That's what I do. Sorry.
And we're here to listen to them.
Right. But no, thank you so much for being here. I don't know what you said since I've been gone.
I was preaching. I was giving them the hustle hard, don't give up speech. That's all. That's all.
But don't forget, you can find the rest of the cast at the socials and chat. Put in the command ML cast. We want to thank, obviously, Dyson Amazons wants to thank Dyson V and Grinding Coffee Co. For being here. Use code Dicey Amazons to get 10% off of your orders. I believe you all are hosting a thing. If you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so coming up in February, and we were probably gonna like hit you up about this offline, but still, put you on the spot now. We're having Dicey Fest, which is gonna be it's gonna be a week of like offline events, online events, coming up to the weekend where we have like a big stream. We plan to have like paid for games, DJ coming through. It's gonna be a little party coming up for Black History Month because we can and we need to. And
Period.
I mean, holler at me. My schedule's bananas, but if I can make it happen, I will. 100%.
yeah,
When are the dates?
so it's gonna be February. I think mid February. I think we want to do the. I have the official dates. They're not on the sheet that I'm looking at right now. I'm a terrible human being
Time,
that I can just.
time is a flat circle. Like I reject linear time and all the other lies of the before times. Yep.
20th and 21st February.
Hey,
I
yes,
think. I think those dates.
my birthday's
19th to the 21st.
my birthday's the 18th. So yeah, there you go.
Nice.
We'll all be turning up. So yeah,
Hell
holler
yeah.
at me if I can make it happen. I'd love to.
Absolutely. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. This has been an episode of Back to the Motherlands. Please, please, please donate, support, talk about, retweet. It costs $0 to do all of those things into the Motherlands. That shows on Sunday nights, 4 p.m. Pacific time. You can do all the time math number things to find out how it happens in your specific time zone. We look forward to fanning out with all of you in chat or in the official Motherlands Discord, where me and Candy and a few other people being there just chucking it up. Just hilarious, laughing and audibly gasping, and it's great. Remember that you're always welcome at our table, and have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Love, peace, and chicken grease.
Stay home.
Yes. Wash your damn hands.
Wash your hands.
For